Hello, I am Zach Leandro, and today I'll be talking about the modern battlefield medicine. Throughout the devastations of war, military medical sources have raised at different climaxes. The practices used today are far more practical and life-saving than most other medical techniques, which were used in the early history of the war, but in an understanding that everybody's life was not guaranteed savior. In the early 2000s, the certain ways used to so-called medic the wounded was a huge improvement towards saving lives due to the quick reaction times of the battlefield doctors. Soldiers don't have the luxury of choosing where to be wounded. Incidents happen in the midst of a firefight in a dense city or out in the middle of the desert. Combat medics might need to go to a mountain valley or plunge into the ocean, but wherever they are going, they always need to get there in a timely manner because the soldiers' lives are on the line. That's why PJs, also known as medic doctors, take the most direct route, which is coming straight down from the sky in a helicopter or plane. Other times, these medics will be stationed at or near the battlefield so they are able to reach the severely injured men and women. Great advances in the 21st century brought upon modern-day war medicine enables more effective procedures to be used. These methods used to heal the injured have far more logical results than Civil War medicine. Some of the more stable methods applied include March, which is proposed as a priority for a patient injured in war. March is major hemorrhages, airways, respiration, circulation, and hypothermia. On the battlefield, major blood loss is the biggest threat to one's life. The tool for solving this problem often caused by an IED blast, which is a large syringe that injects sponge-like pellets called X-Stat. Once the airways and respiration is taken care of, they move on to circulation. These medics often give blood, drugs, pills, shots, or even saline solution, also known as an IV. Due to this IV not being able to reach certain parts of the body, they introduce a circular IV device with several sharp needles and an adhesive rubber patch, which is then applied to the middle of the patient's chest and pushed in until the business and penetrates the sternum. With this particular tool, there's no time to mess around with needles looking for a specific vein. Moving on to the details behind the training tactics needed for aiding the soldiers. All troops are trained with the basics of first aid, including how to stop bleeding, splint fractures, dress wounds and burns, and administer pain medication. Combat troops are equipped with a first aid kit that includes a tourniquet that can be applied with one hand, along with the new pressure dressings which have been issued to the medics, helping them clot severe bleeding within seconds of being applied. Within each and every military unit, they are equipped with a medic who has been professionally trained to be the physician in all medical procedures on the battlefield. A typical U.S. Army group of about 650 to 690 combat soldiers has 20 to 30 field doctors who are trained in the identification of different types of wounds as well as in advanced first aid, such as administering existing fluids and inserting breathing tubes. Modern medic training has programs to simulate various injuries, which helps the medics respond to the incidents on the battlegrounds. Throughout the experiences on the battlefield, the main concern spoken by many soldiers was the constant response of, "We are trained but undeveloped," meaning our men have been through the proper training courses to help the wounded out, being that every outbreak has its large majority of new medics who has never been in a real scenario where a live person is in need of medical and surgical practice. This shows the clear emotion and worry for the lack of resources needed to survive the harsh conditions. Even having some rough spots within the structure of our war supply during the 21st century outruns the many struggles the early war contenders had to deal with. With this said, the improvement of access to the wounded men and women and the amount of modern-day technology we have equipped to help us keep our people serving in the war alive is a win in my book.